Well, now this is just getting brutal, okay? It was Caroline Leavitt's turn to respond to reporters' question about Signalgate, as it's being called, the security breach, the journalist being invited onto a group chat on Signal as sensitive strike times are being discussed, and a security breach the likes of which you rarely see throughout American history. And you can only imagine the press secretary then having to stand up and speak for not only the fact that this happened, that it denotes a lack of care and tact being handled with our classified information, but the fact that the Trump administration's been all over the place with their defense of themselves and their sort of cover-up going on. And Caroline Leavitt's really dishonest. So because of that, I can laugh at this. Otherwise, I do not envy this position. And it gets really brutal throughout this press hearing or press briefing that did not help to answer the American people's question about this at all. She eventually, as I'll show you, just got to saying, do you trust Pete Hegseth or Jeffrey Goldberg? To which I respond, the text messages that your administration admitted were real. So here's the first clip. If you appreciate these breaking news updates, please do click the subscribe button if you haven't yet. We'd be to like 3 gazillion subscribers by now if everyone who watches on a daily basis clicked that button. I appreciate you so much.
Peter.
Caroline, if I can ask you very quickly about the information we've seen, just to set the predicate to all this. Has the president been briefed and physically seen he's seen all the details of the chat as printed by the Atlantic?
I just spoke to the president about it, yes.
Then let me ask you if I can very quickly.
Really? Well, we just watched him say during an interview that he thought this pertained to a phone call, not to a group text. And he called it a bad signal. Sometimes you get a bad signal. And he hopped off the line. Okay, so I don't think he was briefed.
Chat, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, details F-18s, Tomahawks, with some of the weapons that were used. He details the timing involved for this, all of which occurred 31 minutes before, as he says, F-18s would launch. The DoD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret, that's classified. So what about, there are no methods, there are no sources, but that's not what determines what's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself who is saying this as well. And he put out a very strong statement earlier today listing all of the things that were not included in that message that he sent to the group. And again, this message, there was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed. Why did the Atlantic downgrade their allegation about war plans to attack plans? They're now playing
It's the same thing. Oh, she's about to say something crazy. Here we go.
Downgrade their allegation about war plans to attack plans. They're now playing word games because they know this was sensationalist spin from...
No, you're playing word games because you got fixated on the word war, so they said, fine, we'll call it attack. Whatever it is, this stuff is highly sensitive, and yes, classified. Strike times, the method of delivery of said strike against terrorist groups. The specifics, here's Brian Tyler Cohen quoting, nobody's texting war plans. And then it has the specifics here. I'll just scroll. We read some of this already today. Yeah, that's, if you don't want to call it war plans, fine. But this is not supposed to be leaked. This is not supposed to be, it is classified. It is, okay? And that's what that journalist went through and listed off. But the attacks against Jeffrey Goldberg continue. This is the part where she goes, listen, just believe Pete Hegseth. But he's the one caught up in the scandal.
What basis I was asking.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Caroline. So why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. There were various reasons he listed, things that were not included in that messaging thread that were not classified. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? This president and this national security...
Me, I'll answer. The screenshots. I trust the screenshots that you've already admitted are true. They only have one hammer, right? So they had to hit everything like a nail. Oh, do you trust the fake news media? Doesn't have to do with them at all. You're mischaracterizing him, but I don't even need to get into that debate because that's not what we're debating. And remember, I saw actually the wife of one of the military members who could have been affected by this. Fed up. We may go over that on the bonus show or elsewhere about these excuses. Because what's happening here, it's not just about that, because the operation ended up going off and that wasn't impeded by this F up. The issue is, if someone could so carelessly be chatting about strike plans in a group text and then could add to the group text the wrong person and not notice on a private phone as they're walking around in Moscow, like Witkoff, or traveling across the world into potentially, around our adversaries like Gabbard was. That's not handling the information. So that we don't know what has been breached now that we know how carelessly they're handling the sensitive information, right? So it's not just about this, it's about it proves if this could have happened with them accidentally putting a journalist, maybe this is the first time anything like it's happened. But even the fact that on private devices in private group text, these are the conversations that are happening with war plans, or if they hate the word war, strike plans or attack plans, classified stuff. CIA operatives being mentioned that we're not supposed to be spreading the name of. That we don't know what possibly is at risk now, because our adversaries can definitely breach your private phone when you're chatting about things in such a manner. And the carelessness of adding someone proves how sort of incompetent these folks are. That's the big takeaway, just to kind of double down on it. Or I should say, to reiterate it. On Fox News, we'll get back to the press briefing, but you had her saying this.
So it's kind of strange that of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg entered this chat. Could have been an accident on your team's side, but it also could have been something a little more mischievous on Goldberg's side, as you heard Walt say. What do you think about this character?
It certainly could have been more mischievous, as Mike Waltz alluded to in the previous hour. We are working very hard to find out how this number was inadvertently added to the group chat.
Can someone explain? What do you mean, Caroline? It may have been more mischievous, and they have this photo of Jane mentioned in my ear. This photo of Jeffrey. Look, what did he do? He didn't do anything. You pulled him into it. It's so wild, and it's not even about that you pulled him into it. It's what that proves about how you're handling classified information. That's the thing. That's what you said. That's what you said about the Hillary emails. Just the fact that on a private server, a private email server, certain things were being discussed. And it wasn't this. Oh, continuing with the press briefing. Imagine being Caroline right now. Everything is good. And she keeps saying nothing because they know how legally dangerous this is. This legal troubles could come of this. And there was no classified information because Pete Hegseth says so. and there was nothing that put anyone at risk. And they were very mindful of that. Really?
But the mainstream media continues to be focused on a sensationalized story from the failing Atlantic magazine that is falling apart by the hour. Here are the facts. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this matter.
No, he hasn't. We watched the clips. He said, What? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but how did Goldberg get on there? You added him, Michael.
And the National Security Council immediately said, alongside the White House counsel's office, that they are looking into how a reporter's number was inadvertently added to this messaging thread. We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources, or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed. The Atlantic has even admitted this themselves.
And I addressed that. That's false. Over and over again. Lying and lying and lying. And will anyone be held accountable for that? I will say they must know that it's a bad look if this is their response, right? This definitely is not the reaction of someone who doesn't think they did much wrong or doesn't think sensitive information. I mean, it's publicly available. I've even seen a lot of MAGA influencers go, not a lot, but one in particular that we may go over soon, go, I would be losing my mind if this were Joe Biden. Thank you. Exactly. You would.
But unfortunately, this is not what the Democrats and the media want to talk about. They are focused on a coordinated campaign to try and sow chaos in this White House. And this has been the most successful first 2 months of any administration ever, which is exactly why they are doing this. We are not going to bend in the face of this insincere outrage.
Isn't that so brave? We will not bend. We will not back down to this coordinated. Do you think the liberal media has their you-know-what together enough to coordinate an attack on you? Did you see us lose to you? We lost to you. we lost to you, Caroline. Trump was talking about in the days leading up to the election the size of Arnold Palmer's sitch, okay? His tool. And his lovemaker. You know what I'm referencing. And we lost to that. Trump was publicly wondering during rallies about whether he'd like to die by electrocution or being eaten by a shark. And we lost. Trump proposed an economic proposal that would crash the economy, and then we're seeing the effects of it now. But he ran saying he was going to do terrible things, and we lost to him. You think we can coordinate a smear against you? We're apparently really uncoordinated, okay? And for that, I'm a bummer, but in this case, it's a good defense of ourselves than this.
It's like Goldberg will sometimes send out fake names with a contact with their cells to deceive politicians. Wall says Elon and Big Balls are on the case. This wouldn't surprise me if Goldberg sneaked his way in. He's the lowest of the low.
Again, okay, this is another thing I heard even a conservative influencer know. If you're going to start trying to say that Goldberg gave someone his name and said, I'm the top security official or something, and then he was accidentally added because he misled him. He didn't do that, but let's say he did that. That's all it takes to get classified information. You're still in the wrong. That's why we have such secure facilities to discuss strike plans. That's why. That's why we have such secure lines to discuss such things. Is because we wouldn't want someone to be able to, just by sending you the wrong contact, get access to classified information that could put American lives at risk. That's why we're so sensitive. So you can't, even if Goldberg was doing some espionage shit, you still are at fault. And he wasn't doing that.
Carry out these missions in the future. What I guess the message that's coming from the response to all this that we're hearing is that, you know, nothing sensitive happened. And I guess the logical conclusion of that is that if these messages had gone out publicly prior to the launch, that wouldn't have been a risk to service members. I don't know that they're comfortable with that. So can you explain, you know, had these messages...
Look, this is the look on the face of someone who, for the first time, is really regretting taking this job.
...been published, would the plans have moved forward? Would the launch have still taken off?
What I can tell you is that the President, as the Commander-in-Chief of our United States Armed Forces, and Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is an incredible man and a warfighter himself, take the lives of our American service members with the utmost responsibility, and they would never do anything intentionally to put their lives at risk. And again, they are working hard on that every single day, and we are protecting our service members while also restoring peace throughout this globe. It's something the previous administration has not done. And I would just add one more point.
Yeah, and then she goes on to attack the Biden administration. This is not about the Biden administration. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not about them. It's about you. You are in. This is the thing. You had a lot of fun attacking Biden sneezed wrong. Oh, Biden, right? He falls off your bike. That's a story for 3 weeks. Or his bike. It's you now, okay? You're the ones in power. No more of everything is Biden's fault. Sorry. Share your thoughts in the comments. Support the show. Get the members only bonus show by clicking that join button below.